right now. Panthers and Seahawks is one of the marquee games of the week, so let's welcome you inside the Marquee Panther pregame show. This is Black and Blue Kickoff Live alongside Mike Lissette. I'm Gabe McDonald.
Yeah, some interesting elements for this one. Hurt quarterback, a new look defense, and a 12th man who isn't going to make things easy. We're going over all of that, plus three massive interviews today. The star from last week, Kamu Grugier-Hill, rookie wideout Jonathan Mingo, and the one you've been waiting for, an exclusive one-on-one with Brian Burns. The gang is in the house for this one. The 10-year NFL veteran is here, talking about former Panthers defensive end Al Wallace.
And you never know what the weather is going to do in Seattle, so meteorologist Ted Faden is in the house as well to give us that game day forecast. But we have a game to break down, and we know that there is a game coming up at 4:05. But first, we got to talk about who is under center.
All right, time to bring in the head of the defense for Bbkl. He's the 10-year NFL veteran and a former Panther himself, Al Wallace. Let's dive into this quarterback situation. Andy Dalton finally gets to show he's the guy that he says he was. Let's talk about this scenario. He throws 10 touchdown passes, leads the Panthers to a victory, their first of the season. But yet, is there any way that he gets that starting job back?
There is absolutely no way, right? It looks good. He's here to do his job. He goes out there and throws a ton of, touchdown passes. Reads.
Assuming that Bryce Young's injury is exactly what they say it is, an ankle sprain, he'll be back in 1 to 2 weeks. Could a situation like this actually help Carolina in terms of you get that veteran in the house, he sort of rights the ship, Young sort of steps to the side, reflects, regroups, and then everything's back on track?
I don't believe in that. I mean, he's a #1 overall pick. You brought him here for a reason, to change the course of this organization. So, guys, I really think that he has to do that on the job. He can only learn to play the position by getting out there and taking the snap. So I'm not one of the guys that are in the line that he needs to take a step back. He needs to learn with the clipboard in his hand. Throw him out there. Let him learn. He's going to take some bumps.
In other words, Mike, that point was dead wrong. But that's what you're saying, yeah.
And then, too, I mean, you think about the situation. This is something we rarely really see. I mean, normally you look at
All right, guys, while Days of Our Lives is played out in Carolina, we still have to keep an eye out on Seattle. The Seahawks are coming into this one on a high following a tough win over the Lions in overtime. On the other hand, they're also a little banged up. They've got a long list of injuries, including DJ Metcalf's ribs, which are not 100%. As for Carolina, while its defense has looked good this season, the same cannot be said for the offense. The locker room knows if they want to get that first win, they've got to start moving in one direction, together. All right, ding, ding, ding. Here's this week's Tale of the Tape. It's a little misleading considering what we've seen from the Panthers in 2 games. Carolina is 28th in total offense, while the Seahawks are 25th. Despite the fact Miles Sanders has gotten off to a slow start, the Panthers have the 4th most rushing attempts, 9th overall in rushing. If Carolina offense can break through the day, today might be it. Seattle ranks 2nd to last in yards allowed per game. On the other side of the ball, Panthers defense with 8 sacks already. That is 3rd best in the NFL this season. Al, my question for you is, obviously, Seattle comes out week 1. They get clubbed by the Rams. Week 2, they bounce back in a gutty performance against the Lions. Who are the real Seahawks?
I think we'll find out a lot more today as they face the Panthers. They were a solid team. They surprised the NFL.
You talked about Carolina's defense a moment ago. Obviously, they're off to an impressive start this year, but now no Shaq Thompson. They're dealing without J.C. Horn already, who we don't know when he's going to be back. How do you think these injuries are going to start affecting this defense here?
I don't think they're going to affect them at all. Of course, you lose guys like Shaq and J.C., and they're some of the top players on the team, but at the end of the day, they're all...
Bryce Young might not be playing today, but he's been on the field all week. That has got a lot of people thinking. You won't believe what one coach is saying about Young's status today. And that, of course, is the tip of the iceberg. We've also got exclusives with wide receiver Jonathan Mingo and linebacker Kamu Grugier-Hill.
all of that and much more when Black and Blue Kickoff Live returns in just a few.
If you think the Panthers might be a little jet-lagged today in Seattle, you'd be right. Your teams have played in England and Germany, but domestically, the Panthers' flight to Seattle is the longest taken in the NFL this year. 2,274 miles, 5.5 hours traveled in the air. It's definitely an advantage for the Seahawks. Al, quickly, name 3 rock bands from Seattle. Rhymes with Nirvana.
Nirvana.
All right, let's add one more of the famous groups here. The offensive coaching staff of Carolina, because it takes guts to do what they do. This is what one coach said this week.
Yeah, that man is offensive coordinator Thomas Brown. Pearl Jam is one of those bands out for you. But Bryce Young is on the sidelines getting mental reps this week, something the OC said Bryce did.
All right, let's get real here. In week one of BBKL's Best Bets, we were perfect. It was a momentous occasion. Everyone was happy. And then last week happened. From perfect to the abyss that is Vegas's money lines. As the great Big Sean said, last week we took an L, but tonight we bounce back. And we're going to do it starting with Andy Dalton. His over-under passing yards set at 212.5. We are going to take the under on this just because of the lack of separation Carolina's wideouts have gotten. But it'll be close. Miles Sanders, we're going to go over the 59.5 yards. He needs to break that number. But how about Chuba Hubbard? He's gotten more work of late as the change of pace back. If he breaks 26 yards, we are saying yes. Adam Thielen set at 38 yards for an over-under. We're steering clear of this just because he has been the go-to guy for 2 weeks already. We're also hoping to see someone other than him step up today. Here's our best bet. Derek Brown to get one sack, just one full sack, plus $250, meaning if you put $100 down, you get paid $350. Al, which of these real quick are you going to take?
I'm a defensive lineman. Give me TP. Give me Derek Brown. Get a sack. He's been destroying defense or offensive linemen this season.
I like that one. I also like the under on Adam Thielen because I think DJ Chark's going to have a big day. Seattle missing their top two corners. I think he could blow up today for real.
Well, guys, the red rifle, the ginger gunslinger, whatever you want to call Andy Dalton, just call him QB1 today. Up next, we hear from the three-time Pro Bowler on what he can provide for the Carolina Panthers.
And Seattle used to be known for the Legion of Boom, a famous defensive unit. Now it's all about the wideouts. No nickname needed. They're that dangerous. We got more BBKL just after this. Panthers news for you that you need before this West Coast tilt right here on Black and Blue Kickoff Live alongside Mike Cassett. I am Gabe McDonald.
Yeah, they need to win, people. Panthers need to win bad, and we're going to get that winning way started with two big interviews this half hour. We've got Kamu Grugier-Hill and the man everybody is talking about, edge rusher Brian Burns. We don't have John Stamos here, but we do have a full house. We got 10-year NFL veteran and former Panthers defensive end Al Wallace. He's here to break things down.
And it kind of rains a lot in Seattle, and I'll be honest, I'm good with sports, but not telling.
All right, about that time, it's 10-year NFL veteran and, more importantly, a Panther himself, Al Wallace. It is game day, but there are a lot of clouds hanging around this Panther team, and we're not just talking about the Seattle weather, right?
No, we're not. We're not at all.
And the big thing, too, Andy Dalton coming in, 3-1 all time, got to win as a rookie. How beneficial is that going to be, having that experience, going up there and winning?
I think Andy is a veteran, and the superpower that he's going to bring to this team today is that he knows who he is. He knows what he brings to the table. He's not going to go out there and try to be a superhero, be a one-man show out in Seattle. He's just going to handle the business on the offense, and that's a really good start for Andy.
And, of course, you're our superhero and the smartest man in Carolina football. It's time for Big Al's 3 keys to the game. Key number 1 doesn't actually involve the quarterback. It's about pounding the rock.
Key number 2 was one that got exposed last week. You got to lock it, and double down on DK. Shut down the deep ball threat, which is what they had problems doing last week against the Saints. Seems like any time the Panthers had New Orleans on the ropes, Carr just went downfield, and the Panthers defense was back at square one. I think he had a 45-yarder and a 41-yarder as well.
Yeah, you got to limit the explosive plays, right? Force this team to drive the ball down the.
Kamu Grugier-Hill is not one to back down from a challenge.
I've been an underdog my whole life, and I just really embraced that role.
The 29-year-old seems to thrive on defying the odds. It's how he made it to the NFL, despite not picking up a football until his senior year of high school.
It's just kind of how I'm wired. So, yeah, I mean, once I took football on, I just dove in, and I just never stopped.
And so, in the face of replacing Shaq Thompson in Carolina's lineup, perhaps the biggest task of his career, the 6'2 linebacker isn't batting an eyelash. Besides, he also has something else on his mind.
It was crazy, man. I still can't believe it, and even though the media side of it has died down a lot, it's still very real.
Grugier-Hill has been thinking about Hawaii a lot these days. The home that shaped his fearless spirit is now in shambles after last month's devastating wildfires that killed almost 100 people and left thousands more homeless.
You want to help, but I'm so far away, it's kind of like that helpless feeling.
Per his style, though, Grugier-Hill knew he had to take action. But as he would soon discover,
he wouldn't have to do it alone.
It was a little bit of that where we just had some guys from Hawaii that we all came together and we're like, let's just do this.
The players decided to create a goal-based system in which they donate to charity based on their performances. Bbkl Hill, for example, will donate $1,000 every time he or one of his teammates gets an interception.
So how good did it feel to get to see Vaughn
Oh,
get
it was
that?
nice. I know. It's the first thing I thought about when I saw him go up. It was awesome.
Much like replacing Shaq, it's a huge undertaking. But if there's anyone up for it,
We are there for him.
it's Bbkl Hill.
Guys, what's cool about this is that Kamu's not the only one helping out Hawaii. Frankie Luvu also is involved in it. He's going to donate $1,000 for every sack he gets, which was one of the reasons why he was so pumped up last week in both Kamu and Frankie. And then the other one was Johnny Hecker, who's going to donate $1,000 every time he puts a punt inside the 20.
I think it's just good to see, his teammates being able to step up that way. And two, you got to think about it. We've talked a lot about them forcing turnovers. It's an extra incentive today. And I think we will see them do that because you look at Seattle, it's been up and down. I think they have a good chance to get some turnovers, but just a great story. I think he's in a similar role that Frankie was in last year, kind of that unsung hero, the special teamer that really stepped up in a big way. And now you can definitely attest to that, a guy being on special teams and stepping up on defense.
Yeah, if nothing else, guys, we'll get to see those two do that little dance they did, after the sack. But I love Bbkl Hill. I love what he represents. Same as Frankie Luvu. I played 10 years in the NFL, special teams, running down on kickoff. You know that you can play. You were a starter in college, and now you see these guys get their opportunity and make the most of them. So you have to root for guys like this, pull from them. You saw him in OTAs and training camp. He did a great job, and now he's on a big platform and able to do something for his hometown and back in Hawaii. So it's a great cause.
This is Kamu's 6th NFL team, and on top of that, he's a guy that's done everything, including a kickoff. And one more note, I asked him to show me how to do that dance, and he said maybe later.
Are we going to see you break that out maybe at the end of the show?
Not at the end of the show, maybe at the end of the season, but I need some tutelage from him.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully we see that at some point. And guys, the moment has arrived.